Alright you guys, today's the day. We're building the computer. I'm going to bring this shot in a little bit and get you guys a close-up of what parts I'm using. But this is going to be good. I'll teach you how to build it as we go. Alright you guys, so I'm using the CX 650M Corsair power supply. It's not fully modular, it's semi-modular. It has just one cord coming out the side of it, as you can see right there. The rest is modular. I'm totally fine with that. The cable sleeves are black, so that's totally worth it for me. It was a good price. Then we have the Ryzen 7 3700X. We got a good price on this as well. I'm very excited. I was able to get this Ryzen 7. I have a 970 Evo 500 gigs. We got the 2060 Super. We have some Vengence RGB Pro, two 8GB sticks at 3200 megahertz. We have a Cooler Master MB500, and then an Asus Tough Gaming X570 Plus Wi-Fi board. And then, of course, we got the Windows operating system. But that is all that is going in it today. So, let's start unboxing. Alrighty. So I chose this one because one, it comes with pre-installed fans, comes with an RGB controller, as well as I love having the large, full-sized tempered glass panel, and I just felt like it was a really nice aesthetic. So this one is the Cooler Master. Alright, we are going to move this out of the way to the board. So we have our user guide, certificate of reliability, a small cable mods, some decals, and the X570 DVD. It also comes with looks like the Wi-Fi adapter, some SATA cables, the I/O shield. There we go. Isn't she a beaut? Alright, and so we're going to come in for a little close-up, and I'm going to just voice record over this so I can kind of explain to you what's going on. For the CPU installation, we're just going to be popping that small arm up, placing the chip in, and ratcheting it back down. Just make sure it's in there nice and tight. We are going to move on from there and put in the RAM. So I was being a little dumb, didn't check if both sides were movable, but we got it going. So just clip it in. It's pretty easy. I just was being a little extra careful today. So you'll see, and it clips in right there on the right side, and I would suggest to make sure when going through your manual for your motherboard to check that you are putting them in the correct slots. So for this particular motherboard, if you put them in the gray slots, they are able to work together So after the RAM went in, this is to install the solid state drive. So we're going to be putting the NVMe M.2 drive in, and so that is a little standoff screw so that you are able to screw in that top piece of the drive to keep it the tension on it. So they're pretty easy to install. Most motherboards will have a section like this where you can add it in. Also underneath on the left side you can see a small metal shroud by the area with the fan, and that would be a slot for a second one. I did not use it on this one, just this was easier access, and so I just did it. But I'll be adding another one into the other slot in the coming months. So we're just gonna screw this in. I am using a magnetic tipped screwdriver. With memory, it's not always the best choice, but it's all I had, so I dealt with it. Just be careful about running magnets over certain electronic components, but it should be just fine. So this is going to be the cooler for the CPU. Essentially, there is a small metal bracket there on the bottom. It clips onto both sides, and then you use that lever to attach it down. Make sure that there is a good amount of thermal paste on there, and then just plug in your fan. All right, after that we are going to take off the front section, or the front glass and black panel of the case, so we can start installing things. All right, so we are gonna go real quick through here. We're gonna place the motherboard down, screw down all the pieces. In this particular case, we did have standoff screws that need to be put in prior to this. Just on this particular motherboard, I gave you a small diagram on the part, or on the actual base of it, and so you can kind of see what size motherboard you have, and then adjust where the screws go from there. So then I decided to put in the GPU. I just made sure which slots it was lined up with and popped those back panel pieces out. That allowed me to just pop the piece in and put the screws back in, and GPUs are probably one of the more simple pieces of this build. So after the GPU, we're going to be moving on to the power supply. So with the semi-modular, we're just got to make sure the cables are all routed in right before, so just screwing them in. This particular case, you mount the back bracket onto the power supply itself, and then from there you'll push the entire unit back in and then mount that bracket to the case. So when doing this, I would just make sure to get the screws nice and tight, and then make sure when you're pushing it in, the route the cables so they're not pinched behind it. Then it's just plugging in all the cables and trying to get them neat. I won't say I'm the best at this, but I went through and did my best. And if you have any questions about where things need to be going, what you really need to look at is if everything you put in your build is being plugged in, then you have a cord for that. So you look for what needs to be plugged in and then put those cords in. In this particular case, these wires are a little more difficult usually, so looking into the manual of the motherboard is always a great idea. It'll give you an idea of exactly what parts need to go into which slot. So I did that, and then I rerouted this cable up to the next level just so that it would be a little cleaner. To your 8-pin connector, and you just plug that straight into the side. All right, and then this is the back. I ended up doing a little more to tighten up that, but I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a better idea of how it worked in the back. So clicked it on. It was running. As you can tell, the front two fans were not running and the back fan was not spinning, but the lights were on. I had misplugged an item in the back, and so I had to do a little bit extra work, but I have inserted a picture with the lights off, all plugged in, and after I had the system running for a little bit. I need to clean the glass on it, but it looks great. I will be doing some color stuff on the software itself. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you for watching.